Hello and welcome to News 6 Extra. I am streaming executive producer Thomas Mates, filling in for Julie Broughton today. She is out on assignment, but she'll be back for News 6 at 4 with your forecast. Today we are looking ahead to a lot of things. It's the Memorial Day weekend, and there's, a lot of people who are going to be heading out to the water, either hitting the beach or going out on their boat. But there's some safety precautions you need to follow for both of those things. We'll get into those in just a few minutes. Also, we're about a week away from the start of hurricane season here in Central Florida. The Atlantic hurricane season every year is a little different, but it's important to stay prepared. We're going to take a look back at 2024's hurricane season, which was a rough one for the Sunshine State. Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos will have all that, and we'll be talking with News 6 anchor Bridget Ellison. She has been working on a story about a special speech therapy class that is helping children with autism and Down syndrome to better find themselves. Now, as I said, we are going to be heading into the Memorial Day weekend coming up, and there's some new rules on the horizon for boaters. It's going to actually put restrictions on what law enforcement can do insofar as boarding your vessel and searching it. However, those new rules do not take effect until July 1st, so the current rules still apply. News 6's Laverne McGee has more on that.
We headed out on the water with Captain Mike Rice and Captain Dan Pollock. They run the Central Florida Boating Association, which is a nonprofit that teaches boating skills and laws. With Memorial Day coming up and people partying on the water, they want people to remember that authorities can pull them over and check the driver for excessive alcohol use.
According to the National Safe Boating Council's statistics, operating under the influence of alcohol is the number one reason for injury or fatalities on a vessel. So it's the top priority of law enforcement to keep track of folks that are doing that.
But in July, the law will change. Governor Ron DeSantis' Boater Freedom Act will end vessel safety inspections, including the ability to board a vessel without probable cause.
And I think by this legislation protecting you against suspicionless searches, I think it actually will be a better allocation of resources, not just for FWC, but also for the other local law enforcement agencies who are really important in keeping our people safe.
Will it make the waters less safe?
See, I don't know if time's going to tell if it'll make it less safe or not.
I'm sure with any new rule change, there'll be somebody that takes advantage of it, thinking, well, I won't get stopped for no reason, so now I can push the limits of drinking. But I think that those folks will get found out real quick and caught real quick, because you can obviously tell dangerous maneuvers or speeding in a lake zone very easily.
Being out on the boat, of course, is a lot of fun, but also a big responsibility. And if you see someone out there that you feel may not be operating the boat in a safe way, you can report them.
You can contact your local authority's non-emergency number or the FWC. Laverne McGee, News 6.
Now, we have much more on the Boater Freedom Law that's going to be taking effect on July 1st, available on clickorlando.com. You should be able to read the entire bill there. Now we're going to be looking ahead to the hurricane season. We're just about a week away. Again, every year is different. Last year was a rough one for us here in Central Florida and across the Sunshine State. We got hit at least 3 times, and it was devastating for many communities. News 6 Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos is taking a look back at that season and why it's so important for us to prepare for this season before it hits.
The 2024 Atlantic hurricane season brought Florida face to face with some of the strongest storms we've seen in recent memory. This time, it was Debbie, Helene, and Milton. Hurricane Debbie kick-started our active season in early August as it came ashore over the Big Bend as a Cat 1. Now, while Debbie caused minimal damage, it was the first of several jabs for the Gulf Coast. Nearly 7 weeks later, the same area braced for another hit, but this one much stronger.
Anybody in your house?
Hurricane Helene was a Category 4 storm, the strongest hurricane on record for this area, and the deadliest storm since Katrina. But Helene's wrath stretched beyond the cone, inundating communities up and down Florida's west coast with record storm surge between 6 to 12 feet as far south as Sarasota. And then just 13 days later, as people were still cleaning up from Helene, another monster storm was forming in the Gulf. Hurricane Milton exploded in intensity,
A hurricane force winds up to 110, 120 miles per hour.
doubling its speed from 90 to 180 miles per hour in less than a day before slightly weakening at landfall near Siesta Key. Along with the high winds and flooding on the West Coast,
Where's everybody at?
Milton will also be remembered for its record-setting tornado outbreak that stretched the entire state.
Lowest level of your home, interior of your home, cover your head. Most injuries and fatalities when you're talking about these things are not from people being sucked up, it's from people being hit from flying debris.
That green and that yellow cluster, that means that's that debris ball that's very textbook with some of these stronger tornadoes that we usually don't see here in Central Florida. 126 tornado warnings issued, the highest number in Florida in a single day. 46 of those confirmed, 3 of them reaching EF3 strength.
That is a large confirmed tornado on the ground. This is not Doppler indicated. This is a dangerous situation.
A rarity in tropical systems. Last year taught us that every storm demands our full attention, each one bringing its own risks and threats. So with this upcoming hurricane season, now is the time to make sure you and your family are getting prepared.
That was Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos, and as we said, it is the time to prepare, and we can help you with that. Just head to clickorlando.com/hurricane. Maybe you're new to the area, maybe you're new to Florida, maybe you just have not experienced a hurricane before. We have complete lists on resources, items to buy and stock up on, just ways to prepare your home ahead of any potential storms. Again, that's at clickorlando.com/hurricane, and all next week we'll be offering some special coverage on ways to get prepared ahead of the storm, what we might be expecting. And of course, the NOAA just put out their outlook for the 2025 hurricane season just yesterday. We have all the information on that available at clickorlando.com/hurricane. We're going to take a quick break. In about 2 minutes, we're going to come back and we're going to be joined by Bridget Ellison. She's going to be taking a look at this special program that is getting results for kids with autism and Down syndrome. Again, that'll be coming up in just about 2 minutes. Welcome back to News 6 Extra. The time now is 12:39, almost 12:40. I'm streaming executive producer Thomas Mates, filling in for Julie Broughton. Right now, we want to get a look at a special teacher here in Central Florida that is getting results for some kids who need it. She is running a program that combines the performing arts with speech therapy, working with a lot of children who have Down syndrome or autism. News 6 anchor Bridget Ellison joins us now to tell us more about this great program.
Yes, this is a wonderful story, and producer and photojournalist Paul Giorgio, who I work with regularly, shot this story because it was one that branched off of a Getting Results Award winner that we featured with Home of Bright Choices, which it helps autistic students who are, aging out of grade school and, going into young adulthood transition to learn skills for the workforce. So it was a program, Home of Bright Choices, helping them get ready for careers and career training in the food industry and hospitality. And so when we did that Getting Results Award story, we were contacted by Brianna Falgiano, who does dramatic SLP, and that is something that combines dramatic and musical arts, helping students work on their skills in such a fun, performative fashion through these classes that she holds across Central Florida. So Paul went out, checked out one of the classes at Oviedo Mall, and here's the story. It's really inspiring.
3, 2, 1. Jump in, jump out, turn yourself around. I said,
Brianna Falgiano found her voice on the stage.
introduce yourself. My name's Brianna.
Now she's using it to bring others into the spotlight.
And I can sing.
She's the founder of Dramatic SLP, where rhythm and singing are more than self-expression. They're tools for speech therapy.
A lot of language therapy just targets language and sitting down and the left hemisphere of the brain. But when you combine the dramatic arts, we're able to work on things like volume control, voice levels, tone of voice, social interactions, improvisational skills, which are important when you're having conversations with others.
Go, Sophia!
Here, the lessons are fun, interactive, and engaging for kids of all communication levels. For kids like Sophia Anderson, who is highly autistic, simply following along with the beat is progress.
A child like Sophia might not be able to participate because the instructor might not have the background knowledge on how to do something to help them. And so a lot of times they won't accept them into classes or they won't accept them into programs, and unfortunately that means a lot of these kids get left behind.
So we like to work on locations and prepositions of the drum, right?
Falgiano's resume includes being a show producer and a performer at Disney.
Tap in the middle.
Today, the audience is a bit smaller, but parents like Sophia's dad, Seth, say she's making a bigger impact.
Initially, that's something like, okay, let me hold your hands and we're going to do it together. And eventually I'll step back and let her do it and let her figure out, okay, this is what I'm doing wrong. This is what I'm doing right.
While language delays don't predict autism, they are common among diagnosed children, with about 75% showing some type of language delay. But studies show early intervention can help. The single most replicated predictor of long-term outcomes for autistic individuals is the acquisition of language during early childhood.
These skills will carry over into everyday communication, as well as building confidence for our kids, which is so important with the autistic community.
Great theater can energize an audience. Here, the performers are the ones who transform.
I get to watch the kids slowly just improve over time. With each class.
At the end of the day, I want them to feel like I'm important and my voice matters, and that's why we do what we do.
Most wonderful. I like it. Good job.
So as you can see, it's just one of many great therapies out here that use the creative arts, and there are lots of things to choose from. We recently did a feature with Florida Autism Centers. They have several locations, and we met a mother and her son going through intensive therapy of 30 plus hours a week for him, and it had made a dramatic difference. But every child is different. We all learn differently, and so it's great to see that there are so many facets and different pathways to improving skills for all of us, not just those on the spectrum. But if you want to find out more about the Dramatic SLP, just go to that website, thedramaticsLP.com, and you can contact Brianna and find out more about consultation and if this might be right for your child or student. But it's great to see there are so many fun resources for them to learn and interact and grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned your previous story on the Autism Center. It can be difficult for parents to find the right resources for their particular child's condition or situation. So it's good to know that there's a lot of options out there for people.
Right. And that was one thing that the mom told me when I went to Florida Autism Center. She was in the process of relocating back to Central Florida, and at that time she had called every therapy center and they said, we have a wait list, but you're welcome to join it. And so then she happened to get that call from that particular center that had a spot open for her son, but she just said, don't give up, get on those wait lists, and then keep trying, keep working with your child, keep looking for other outlets, to help them along until you can get them into a spot for a more full-time therapy, or just combine a bunch of supplemental therapies maybe until you can get a spot in a full-time therapy.
That's great advice for our parents. And so we have more on this story and the resources available and Bridget's previous coverage at clickorlando.com. Bridget, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it joining us here on News 6 Extra.
Thanks.
All right, we'll talk soon. Have a good one. All right, we are looking ahead to a hot Memorial Day weekend. The long weekend is going to be very warm, although we are expecting maybe some storms come Monday, according to the forecast. But it's still going to be tough to beat the heat, and we're expecting to see a lot of people out there on the sand. News 6's James Barbero went to take a look at some of the beaches in Brevard County. Here's his recommendation on where to go and how to stay cool.
All right, so if you want to beat the heat, but you still would really like to come to the beach, I'd recommend the Cocoa Beach Pier, because here you can actually sit under the pier, just like CJ and Alex, who I just met. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great in the shade.
CJ, you were telling me you grew up here, but now you live in Tennessee, so you must miss the beach, huh?
Yes, I'm originally from the beach, and yeah, I miss the beach a lot, but the heat is brutal.
Fun meeting those guys. When I'm out of the shade, I like to bring a hat to the beach with me, like this one. I also really like checking our News 6 weather app. This is handy to check the rain chances, because I drive a convertible on the weekends around here. Just taking a peek right now at the daily forecast. Looks like it should be dry this weekend. And if it's going to be sunny, you know it's going to be a very busy, unofficial start to summer around here. That's why I'm bringing in Chief Ison Witcher with Ocean Rescue to talk about preparing for Memorial Day. Ison, I guess it probably starts now with the all hands on deck mentality leading up to the weekend.
You know, we got a good warm up with spring break last month, but this month we're moving into summer. So yeah, big lead up, lots of heat, lots of population, looking forward to it.
About the heat, what would you advise to our guests?
Well, definitely want to beat the heat by getting as much shade as you possibly can and make sure that you're drinking enough water, not only before, but after you get to the beach as well.
I also asked the chief about the seaweed on the beach this time of year. Remember, the county doesn't pick it up. It says because of the important role it plays for the environment. And Ison gave me another reason to let it be. He says sometimes jellyfish wash up with it, and you don't want to get stung. In Brevard County, I'm James Sparvero, News 6.
Again, the beaches are probably going to be packed this weekend, so make sure you have a little bit of patience and just plan ahead accordingly. Of course, the weather is going to be a key factor in everyone's weekend's plans. Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos is looking ahead to what you can expect for your holiday weekend.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos. For your Friday, great beach and boating weather is expected not only for today, but even into your long holiday weekend. Speaking of the weekend, we're going to continue to heat those temperatures up. Yesterday was a touch cooler because of the added cloud cover and a little bit of extra rain. We're going to see those temperatures soar once again back into those mid-90s, feeling like the triple digits, so a very typical Memorial Day weekend. And as of now, we're looking downrange starting Monday and into early next week. Rain chances stay steady at about a 40 to 50%, which is a good indicator that might be the official start of the rainy season. Time will tell. We'll have to wait and see. As we take you here hour by hour for your Friday, the pool, the beach, the sprinklers, the splash pads, whatever way you can stay cool over the next couple of days will be a good idea. Temperatures will be in those low 90s, but we do have a little bit of rain still to contend with into the afternoon. Weather coverage for today, not extremely widespread, still about a 30%. So let me show you here on the clouds and rain forecast. We'll have once again that sea breeze kind of developing about 3 o'clock. We have another cold front to our north, and that's just going to keep all of us here in Central Florida a bit more on the unsettled side. So by 3, 4 o'clock, a couple pockets of those heavier downpours. As of now, it looks like the focal point will be basically south of Seminole County into Orange, Osceola, Brevard, at least until about 8 o'clock. As the sun goes down, so will all that instability. We're looking mostly dry tonight, and then once again, we're going to be firing up a couple more, maybe even a little more widespread chance for rain and storms by 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. Another little cluster could linger across our southern zone. So overall, keeping the rain gear handy. I don't think it's going to be a washout at any point this weekend, but we can't rule out the chance of an isolated shower or thunderstorm. Speaking of storms for today, the Storm Prediction Center is highlighting parts of Orange, Osceola, and Brevard County under level 1 out of 5 for marginal risk. The main impacts, once again, lightning and some gusty winds upwards about 40 to 60 miles per hour. And the way the atmosphere is a little bit stacked up because of that cold front, we will have that potential of a small pea-sized hail. But again, other than that isolated chance, beach forecast is looking great. Temperatures will be in the mid-80s today, Saturday, Sunday, even to Memorial Day, with our rip current risk still in the moderate range. So again, looking at Memorial Day weekend, rain chances again will be fluctuating, looking a little more summer-like, about 30 to 40%. Also, speaking of summer-like, we're very close to the official start of the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season. We are officially 8 days away. Good news is no new tropical development is expected. And as a good result, here the full 7-day forecast. Again, it looks like fingers crossed, we start the rainy season right on schedule.
All right, that'll do it for us here on News 6 Extra today. We hope you have a good weekend, a good Memorial Day weekend, plenty of outdoor time, so long as you can stay cool. We'll be back starting on News 6 at 4. Julie Broughton will be back with your forecast, and of course, we'll have all the day's headlines. Thank you so much for your time, and have a pleasant day.